She's a newbie on the show here. She's a first time viewer or first time participant of the show.
Yes.
But Tammy Prout is here. Let me fix the camera so we can actually see you. There we go. Did you know, Tammy, that you and I are the subject of a public records request?
I did.
Isn't that charming?
She's like, I heard.
Yeah.
You were apparently conspiring against the person that you're trying to replace. You were, and I know for a fact that you weren't conspiring, but that's the story that we're being told these days.
Well, it's kind of like the stages of grief. You got to go through it all. And
Right.
You'll see that I had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with it. I'm going to just say that really it was probably my fault more than anything, because I was the one that kind of said, all right, this is the thing.
You broke the story.
I broke the story on it. And then Tammy and Rosa did a great job too, continuing on the story of Mr. Ballew's legal issues. But you were already thinking that you were going to run for this because he was indicating that he was not going to run for a second term or a third term. And look, cynically, here's the thing, folks. If you complete a second term, you get retirement. And it's like 20% of whatever your salary was. So it's not a lot of money, but it's a bonus that you didn't have, and so that now is no longer part of his plan. But that doesn't say though that this position needed to be replaced anyway, because I don't think Precinct 1 was getting very good representation. And he participated in hardly any of the budget discussions. And should you get elected, you'll be dealing with some really fun budget decisions. Right.
I chose to run for a lot of reasons that had nothing to do with Harley.
Yeah.
I just felt really called to do it. And you're right, 45% of registered voters in Precinct 1 live in the city of Kerrville.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we forget that
Right.
on the county level. The three, Peterson Health and James Avery, both are in Precinct 1, two
Right.
of our biggest, and then we have Nimitz School. I mean, we should be working with everyone to
Right.
make sure that everything is going well within our county.
And, like I said, it's such a big part of it is the city of Kerrville and, South Kerrville, like I said, the hospital. And there's a lot of issues that are facing the county in the years to come. What do you think is the biggest one or one of the biggest ones?
I think that I made my campaign pretty clear on that already. I just think that if we don't prepare for the growth, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
We need to have the staff for the hospital. People don't realize what a great thing we have in Peterson Health.
Right. Absolutely.
And if we can't keep it staffed, that won't stay.
Yeah.
But if it happens too quickly, we're going to implode. I just think that we need long-term planning and starting with how are we going to handle the growth.
Right. And I think that's the biggest. I think I completely agree with you on that too. The growth issues, and I look at this, I've said it before numerous times that this whole idea that don't California my Texas, and I always tell people, you've already done it. You've already set up what people don't like about Southern California or California. It's massive growth, in a hurry. I've seen so many cities go from Kerrville size to 100,000 in 20 years. Now we don't necessarily potentially have that kind of growth, but we do have growth coming. And how do we manage that?
Right. I think that we need to start having plans. I mean, I talk about in one of my videos that there are counties around us, Kimball and Gillespie, that have already done some things within the regulatory authorities that can help with the development and protect natural resources, because we all live here because of the natural resources.
Right. I got a note from a guy who's really upset about the Megacrete plant as an example of some of these things, and he's so upset about it. I said, well, sir, you have to understand that the city and the county's hands are pretty much tied. If they want to come in and do something, there's nothing really they can do to stop them. There's very little regulatory authority that is given to the county, so you're really managing. The fight is really against the legislature in some ways. The other issue that's out there is, growth can be significant. Judge Kelly has talked about that a lot.
On the I-10 corridor
Yeah.
study, that's one of the things that really opened my eyes again and
Yeah.
made me think I wanted to run.
Tell me about that study. What was the biggest eye opener for that?
The 100 and whatever % growth that he anticipated within the year 2070. I mean, it was
Yeah.
for the hill country and the I-10 corridor,
Yeah.
but we're going to have a big chunk of that too. And again, we're not planning for it.
Right. And, the interesting thing, one of the reasons why I particularly love living here, and I particularly love where I live, which all full disclosure, I live near you, and I love it because I have the critters. I have an amazing amount of critters that come through there. It's the most wild place I've ever lived in my life because I can have in my yard, I can have 20 deers like looking at each other or sniffing each other. I could have access one day, whitetail the next, armadillos and weird things that are coming through, and a fox that makes really obnoxious noises. I love it.
And they're not afraid. I mean, they're like pets.
Yeah, they're not afraid of you.
Yeah. This is their home.
The deer look at you like, oh, what are you going to feed me today?
Right.
So
it is great. But even we moved there in 98.
yeah,
Lewis and I live on the same street.
right.
Oh, God
So,
bless you. So you also signed this no split pea petition.
I probably was at work and missed it. I don't know.
I'm surprised you didn't smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your neighborhood predominantly smelled of onion? Because that was Lewis.
I'll have to ask my
Yes,
husband.
yes.
But when we moved there, there was a lot of the houses that are on that street weren't there.
Weren't there, right.
So,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but it grew smartly. I
Yeah.
mean, there's still enough quiet and
Yeah.
protection from people. All the lots are a little bigger,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think they did it right, even when they developed that one block road.
I would live if I could get a house anywhere on that in that Rimrock or where we live. I would do it. I would do it in a minute because I just like that. Just get the hillsides and you've got. I mean, looking out our backyard, some of the sunsets are just stunning.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, I just love it. So, but that growth though, if you don't manage it, it'll get away from you and you'll lose hillsides. You'll have grading like you wouldn't believe.
Exactly,
You
which
know.
is why I think that we should have a comprehensive plan, long-range planning, and start preparing for it rather than let it happen to us.
Yeah. Isn't it frustrating though? I mean, here Tammy's a newspaper publisher, and she's done a great job of it for 20 years now. How many years has the paper been in business?
I've been in the business 36 years,
Yeah.
but the community journal we started in 2005, so
Right.
19 years.
19, almost 20. She's almost there. But isn't it frustrating though when you address some of these issues and you write about it, or you have a reporter write about it, and the people are like, "Well, I don't know about that. I never heard of that before." And like, I just wrote that. I mean, does that ever get you frustrated a little bit with some of the disconnects on policy issues and things that we've followed or written about?
Sometimes, but not. Usually, I just feel like if I did my job, that was all the important part.
Yeah.
We do a good job of distributing it both online and in print.
Right.
And if somebody said they didn't know about it, we did our job.
Right, we did. I just find it so frustrating sometimes. Like, God.
Well, we there's not too many things that we don't hear about.
Yeah.
We do have a reach,
Right.
As you,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I announced I was running for office, it was amazing to me how many people read our page. That was
Yeah.
that was one time where I could test it myself
Yeah.
and go, wow.
You can measure
Yeah.
it. You can
Yeah.
measure it. You can measure
It
it.
also got their attention.
Yeah, I got
too.
their attention. The other issue that I've talked about is the courthouse. The bond failed with the courthouse, and there's some. We could talk about that all day long, but to me, the courthouse is a real problem long term because it just isn't designed for where we're going to grow. And how do we handle that? How do we do that? And there's immediate needs right now.
Well, they did a good job.
You look at it every day. I mean, you look at that courthouse.
Literally every day.
Yeah, every day. Yeah.
I think they did a good job by starting that committee because they're going to be looking at the space. And
Yeah.
there's so many different county facilities that we don't even know are county facilities. How
Yeah.
are they being used? Specifically, the church that was for the public defender's office. I mean, maybe that was a bad decision for the
Right.
public defender's office, but as it turns out,
Right.
we're going to need that space.
Right. That was where the tax office was supposed to go. Was the church, and then they were in the. But yeah, Judge Kelly bought up all that property to kind of anticipate growth, and there's not much money to actually do anything with it now.
Right.
So, but he got it at a really good deal. So, I think he got it for like a interest rate less than 1%. But when you watched those bonds fail, what was your reaction to why those bonds failed?
Well, there were several things, I think, but the main issue, I think they failed because they were on the backs of two other bonds. I mean,
Right.
it was not that long between the communities coming together to do the KISD bond, then
Right.
the public safety bond, and then I thought it was too quick. So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I think it failed. However, the voters were there for the KPA initiative
Yeah.
on the new animal
Right.
facility, and that, so I guess they spoke their piece. They didn't want the other stuff. But there were some, that facilities committee worked hard to try to educate everyone. And that is a perfect example of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
They did a lot to try to educate, but people really didn't know
Right.
all of the details.
Right.
I felt it was sort of like a rebuke of the commissioner's court in some ways, because it was like, well, we need this courthouse to be fixed, and we're like, yeah, no. And I thought that the ag barn was not presented probably in a way that made sense. It was an important thing, and it's basically closed. Not the whole thing, just the old part of it is
Right.
closed. But did you get that sense at all that maybe it might have been a slight rebuke on the commissioner's court for some of their antics, especially around the library and some of the other things?
That certainly didn't help, but I really do think they were just
Too
tired
close.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think the Todd Bach and Brenda Hughes and all the people on that facilities committee did a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, they studied for 3 years to find exactly what to need. When I was on the facilities committee for KISD for the 2018 bond, we had meetings, public town hall meetings, and Dr. Faust at the time was doing a great job of educating the public. And I think maybe that could have made a change, but I really think people were just tired of more bond tax increases.
Yeah, and not understanding what it was for.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Is why are we doing this again? Well, because the state's telling us we'll make them pay for it. Well, they don't pay for that stuff.
Right.
The other part of this too is interesting. We talked about this before. The budget last year was painful to watch being discussed, and they really struggled with this. And the judge wanted cuts, and there were no cuts to give. At the same time, they needed to bolster salaries to keep people, especially in the sheriff's office and in road and bridge. What was your assessment of what happened last year with the budget?
I was shocked at how surprised. I have a whole video on that too about budgeting. I think that it needs to be year-round discussions, not start in June with some workshops and have a budget by August, because to me that's what it looked like. They went, oh my goodness, at the end.
Right.
So maybe that could have helped it, but this was kind of an odd year.
Yeah.
One thing that is surprising is no other entity had to raise their taxes, and they had the same issue. So
Right.
I don't really know the details of why that is, but and they increased salaries for their people too.
Right.
So are we not planning well? Don't know, because I'm not in those executive sessions. I don't know. But I think better planning would help, and I think that inflation didn't help.
No. Right. Inflation,
But every entity again.
had the same issue.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think one of the things that happened is that people want to be frustrated about taxes, and so we've lowered taxes maybe when we shouldn't have,
or not raise them proportionally, in a way that made sense.
I don't want to raise taxes, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a fine line between measuring the property tax valuation increases and trying to do right by the taxpayers. But they're going to be happy that 1 year that you take it down. But if you have to go up because you didn't increase, or if you have to go back up to where you were, they're not going to remember that you did that for
Right.
them. It just seems mean.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, this next budgeting year, which you wouldn't take office until January 1st, 2025. But this next budgeting year, the ARPA funds are gone. I think they're all gone at this point. There's a little bit hanging around, but that was a $10 million deal. That paid for so much stuff that the sheriff's office got and some other things. That's a $10 million hole they're gonna have to make up in some areas. Unfortunately, they spent a lot of it on categorical stuff. But there just seems to be this never-ending issue of trying to catch up on salaries. When are you concerned about pay for county employees and retention?
I am. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you go into businesses all day long, and that's one of the biggest things is we can't find staff.
Right.
And the road and bridge is short 8 people, at least last time I talked to Kelly.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
my
and
God.
has been short for a while.
Right.
So yeah, we have to pay them, and we have to be able to retain them. And the only way you're going to do that is to treat them like they're appreciated.
Yeah, right. And that's something that is, I think, if you look at a lot of the national averages, Texas is still kind of behind in a lot of areas. You know, economically, we're a juggernaut, but we don't pay people anything either, it seems like. So,
Right. Well, I mean, they can only go so high, but
Yeah.
I do think that it was necessary this
Right.
year because they hadn't had the increases that other entities had.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is I don't know. I would like to see the amount of county assets that we have that are not being utilized or underutilized, and maybe you can liquidate those. There
Yeah.
are things you could do to maybe adjust some of these things and operate a more lean
Right.
operation.
Right.
That's what I don't know. Every time you turn around, you find out there's a property over there that the county owns, or
right.
you know, I'd like to know what the assets were first before.
Yeah, they own a lot of stuff that can they've unloaded a couple of things, you know, and there's a lot of things they do own. Do you, you know, going back to the courthouse situation though, you know, there are needs. Do you have an opinion about how that courthouse should be utilized? Is there any way to solve some of the space crises and the utilization of the courthouse without raising taxes?
Well, I don't think the county can raise taxes next. I mean, they've already said
Yeah.
we did this because we didn't plan well. So
Right.
I think your tax rate is
stuck.
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
that's what the tax rate should be next year. You've already
Right.
made the
You set a
makeup.
precedent. Yeah.
Yeah. But the space is finite. I mean, and the growth is there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the church building, whatever the house is that they bought on Earl Garrett, maybe it was Bruce Curry's old office, I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
right.
There's already places people can grow.
Right.
And I think that they need to do it smartly.
Now, there's some argument about newspaper publishers serving in public office. How do you intend to run, you know, your business? And if you're elected, how do you serve? Because I mean, it's a full-time job, you know, to do both. And, you know, you're really not at home ever, quite frankly. Is she ever home? No. Is she ever home? No.
Yeah, I've thought that through,
Yeah.
and I will have help
Okay.
to do what I need to do in the office.
Right.
To be me. I mean,
Right.
you've
I've
been
been-
there.
yeah, been there.
I'm doing layout, taking
Right.
classified. I mean, there's things I don't need to be doing
Doing,
there. I
right.
just do to
Yeah.
keep the budget in place. So I will find someone. That's the plan. I have a plan in mind. I don't have a person in mind, but I
Right.
have a plan in place.
Okay.
You know, but it's not that I'm so confident that I'm going to win this election that I went and hired
Right.
someone. So
Right.
right now, I understand that. My plan would
Yeah.
be to. I've told this story a bunch, and I don't know if I've told it to you, but you know what we do for a living.
Yeah.
So I've, for 30 years, covered all governmental meetings. I've been in living rooms of people over all 4 corners of the county.
Yep.
I feel like this is a great extension of what I've already done.
Right.
You know, and I'm getting to be 60. And it
Child.
just seemed like a really good time.
She's a child. Yeah, she's younger than I am. You know why?
Why?
My grandkids are older than her grandkids.
Well, that's because mine started.
Yeah,
late, but-
yeah. No, I mean it's a tough issue, and it's not unprecedented. This has happened before, where a newspaper publisher has gotten involved politically and has served, and you know this is going to be a challenge for you. I'm be curious to see how you juggle it.
As far as the workload.
Yeah, workload.
But
yeah.
The
Well, you're used to the workload. There's nothing, you know, you can handle that part of it. So
Right.
yeah.
But I think I've done an excellent job just in this campaign
Mm-hmm.
of making sure that we kept any politics out of the paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to me that newspaper have the integrity that it has always had.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't change.
Right.
I wouldn't be there every day as far as the workload
Right,
goes.
right.
And you know, I don't know why people would question that. I mean, Harley was a political opinion
Right.
radio host.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He would trash the commissioner's court on the radio show.
right.
You know.
But we would never do that. We
Yeah.
want to be straight.
Right.
My mentors were original newsmen,
Yeah.
know, the newspaper guys
Right.
that had the integrity and the gumption, and that's what I try to carry
Yeah.
forward.
Right. I spend little or
I think that speaks for itself, Tammy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
I just like to be mean sometimes. I'm sorry. It's
I
just
know,
a bad
and
habit. I
that
know.
speaks for
Damn
you
it.
as well.
What do you've lived here for a long time, and you have an interesting story. Like, you just kind of showed up here without any idea what you were going to do, and you
Yeah.
found a way, and you've been here now. I mean, you were raised here, essentially. You raised yourself here.
Yeah, I was 20 when I got here and turned 21, or 21 when I got here and turned
Yeah.
22. Yeah.
Right. When did you meet your bodyguard, by the way? When did you meet him?
Well, that's why I think I was meant to come, because I came, of course, as you know, with no job or a place to live.
Right.
And after my first visit, had a place to live and a job. But I met him 6 months after.
6 months after. Okay. All right. And did you drag him to church with you? And
No, actually, when I came here, there was, there's a lot now.
Yeah.
But it was 86 when I moved here. And the only thing to do in the evenings was go to the end of the hills.
Oh.
Well, that cost money, so I decided to get a second job. So I worked waiting tables at the end of the
End of
hills,
the
so I
hills.
could have something to do in the evenings.
Yeah.
And that's where I met him.
That's what met the bodyguard. I still think it'd be funny to have him stand like kind of over your shoulder a little bit, maybe with like an earpiece, talking. We gotta go. We gotta move. You have 2 sons.
I do.
One is here and one is Oklahoma. Right. And you have how many grandchildren now?
4.
4. She's got me beat there.
Yeah, she does.
But mine are older, so I'm still technically older than she is. So anyway.
The girls are 8, 7, 6, and then our only grandson is 11 months old.
Is he here or is he in
babe.
Oklahoma?
He's here.
He's here.
Yeah,
That's right.
We
And-
had him Saturday.
Right. Now, you have an interesting family life because you have both hands in public safety, in the police side and in the firefighting side. Does that ever cause any problems? Is there any kind of like rivalry there between your husband and your kids? As far as like what's better, what service is better, or is it all good? Is it all good?
Well, I will just plead the fifth.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it can sometimes
Right.
it can sometimes be funny.
Right. I bet it is. I bet they have great stories because every cop and every firefighter I've ever met has great stories.
Oh yeah, they don't tell me the stories.
Yeah,
That-
because you'll probably
It's
publish it.
probably
Yeah,
best.
I don't get to hear them. However,
Yeah.
they do razz each other a
Yeah,
lot.
Yeah.
right. I bet they do. The some of those issues though with public safety though, what are you going to? Do you recuse yourself or do you continue on because you can handle, you can be objective with the sheriff and the sheriff's office?
Of course, I could be objective with the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's public safety is one of my key things on my platform. So
Yeah.
I want everybody safe. But the sheriff's doing a good job. And
Yeah.
I haven't seen that he hasn't asked for anything at this point that he didn't need.
Right. Or
So-
he's gone out and done.
Yeah, he
innovative-
hasn't fundraised for himself.
He's fundraises for himself. He gets out and figures it out.
Yeah. So if there were a point where someone felt uncomfortable, I would gladly recuse myself. But
Yeah.
I don't think I would need to.
Right. The one of the frightening things I think about here is that we're in this drought situation. Everybody thinks the county manages water, and it doesn't.
Right.
What is your, how do you address that with the voters, and how does the county work with Headwaters and the city of Kerrville and other private water to make sure we have enough water and make sure we're doing the right thing?
Well, because that was one of the things I thought I needed to learn most about. I've gone to several different meetings
Yeah.
and read up as much. And one of the most fascinating things I found was that there is an organization working through the Texas Water Development Board already doing the hard work
Yeah.
in Groundwater Management Area 9. They have a 50-year plan that they update every 5 years based on data from wells. So we kind of know where things are going and how it's going to work. And I think that by utilizing their data, we can do a lot. The county can't tell you what to do, and we can't tell you about the wells. And
Right.
I think the 10 acres is a little much based on the man that I heard speak from Bernie, who runs the Headwaters there. He was saying theirs are at 6 acres
Yeah,
for
so
a well.
you have to have 10 acres to have a well, and it was up from 5, I think, previously, right?
Yeah, and I think that I heard someone say that was kind of a goal to get people to utilize public utility systems versus wells. I don't really know, but I
Yeah.
do know that to say that water is going to be gone is not true. And I think good people are giving us great data. And now, again, back to the long-range plan of how we're going to handle that growth.
Yeah.
as it pertains to water and different and other natural resources. We need to have that plan. I mean,
Right.
I could tell you all kinds of ideas, but the truth is, I would be one vote. Somebody needs to gather everyone and create that.
Right.
Have you ever visited with Kelly Hoffer? Have you had her on your show?
No, I
And
haven't.
Charlie
That's-
Hastings.
yeah.
You talk about two dedicated, amazing people. I spent an hour there, and I was fascinated. They have. Their hearts are with Kerr County and making sure that the roads are good and all
Right.
the decisions are good decisions for the citizens.
Well, they're no nonsense people. You know, if you listen to them in the public meetings, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
they're very professional, and then this is what they. I mean, Charlie is non-controversial as it gets, and so is Kelly. I mean, they're very blunt about, hey, you know what, I need this, this, and this, and this, and she's scrimped and fought and worked her way to find the best use of what she has to deal with. I think. I mean, I don't know if I mean, that's my impression of her. You know, that the county, like, I think our roads are in pretty good shape for the most part, but I can see where it's a challenge in some places. So.
Well, as she said, they have, you know, how the city of Kerrville had the company come in and tell them what the plan should be to keep the roads.
Yeah, right.
So that
Yeah, the
they didn't
pavement assessment.
disintegrate.
Yeah, right.
Well, they took it upon themselves to do that, and they have a 7-year plan to be able to resurface them so that they don't start disintegrating, which ultimately saves the county tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
So I was just so impressed at their enthusiasm for their jobs and their dedication to the county citizens.
Because everyone, you know, I mean, that's one thing though, that everyone wants to have a nice roadway. You can complain about it all day long, but it's really hard to keep those things operational. You know, I saw the you know, after that last rainstorm we had, the intersection of Water and Sidney Baker was potholed up. You know, and that's just the reality of the situation that we're in.
Right.
The emergency service districts that are, and I haven't asked this question to anybody yet, so I was going to ask, you're going to be the first one to get it.
Great.
I know. You know, we rely on volunteer firefighters, but one of my concerns is that realistic long term for us. You know, do we need to professionalize some of these fire departments, do you think? And because it's getting to be so expensive to replace vehicles, I mean, Kerrville just spent, you know, $2 million on 2 trucks or two engines.
And you have to wait 4 years,
Yeah,
right, to
right,
get them.
yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think that all public servants are my heroes. I mean, and the fact that you would do that
Yeah.
for free
Right.
because you want to, it amazes me.
Yeah.
So I think they deserve whatever they need. I do know that you have, I think Turtle Creek is the only one not in an ESD.
I think you're right.
Quite sure, but I think they're the only one that isn't. So they have the tax funding to get the things that they need.
Yeah.
But they take it upon themselves to do the training, and I think that they're pretty amazing.
Right.
I mean, have you ever met Brian Alexander
yeah.
in Mountain Home?
Well, those guys work hard, and I met Lee Poole and Hunt, and you know, I know they all do. Obviously it's very admirable what they do. It's just the question is it realistic long term, even from an emergency services, even from like a medical aid perspective too, because the city of Kerrville kind of runs all of that right now.
Right.
So you know, and they do a great job. Obviously, we're in a pretty good position, you know, we have great things already in place here, which is what makes it unique. To you, what's the best thing about living in Kerrville? In Kerr County.
I think it's the people. I mean, I carry every story I've ever
Yeah.
written with me. And if there's a man, I won't say his name, but I did a story on him for Vietnam War Veterans Day, right?
Yeah.
And he told me this compelling story. It was amazing. And every time I see him, we hug like we're related.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Right.
that hour and a half we did in the interview just meant so much. So it's really just the people. I love that. I think that everyone's done a good job with growth. I'm kind of with everyone else about too many chicken places, but
Yeah.
you can't really control that.
Yeah.
But I just love this community, and was blessed to be able to have my children here and raise them here.
Yeah, right.
And I chose to be here because I was from San Antonio. So
Yeah.
this
You were
is
from
where
the
God
big
wanted
city.
me.
Yeah, you want to be there.
Yeah.
What about K-Pub? What do you think about K-Pub? Look at this photo. Have you seen this photo yet? Look at this photo. How about K-Pub?
I love K-Pub. They're awesome.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that he's completely happy and satisfied. K-Pub is one of those strengths, though, too, in our community as well. And when, you know, if you ever complain about Kerrville, like, well, K-Pub's a pretty good thing.
You know, we covered the transition of LCRA to K. when it became a municipal
Right.
utility. It was awesome. I mean, to have that kind of history, to be somewhere is to have that kind of history was
Right.
exciting to me. And there was a man named Bill Stacy, who was Phil Stacy's dad, who at first was against it and then became a really big fan and ultimately on the board of directors.
Right.
It was really cool.
Nice. This election is interesting. It's a primary election. The early voting starts tomorrow. You got other things you're going to be doing tomorrow, unfortunately. But this election is interesting because you have factions of the Republican Party that have already made their choices and endorsed people. Many of those people are in the leadership of the current party. How frustrating has that been for them to intervene on behalf of other, including your opponent? Or do you even worry about that?
I don't think about it. And I mean, I think are you talking about the preferred candidate
Yeah, the preferred candidate thing, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we did a good job of letting people, I felt our readers and the community need to know that all people weren't vetted. That's just who they chose.
Yeah.
That's the only issue I had with it.
Right.
Other than, but they have the right to do that and pick who they want and campaign for who they want. So I don't really think about it much.
Yeah. But if if this doesn't go the way that, if it goes one way, you could see a return to endorsing, city council candidates like they did in the last election. I mean, it's a real interesting situation. Do you have any assessment of what that looks like? I mean, are you paying attention to that part of the party?
Pretty close attention. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your take on hand counting?
I thought that was silly.
Yeah.
And I don't want to discount people's concerns because if you watch the 2020 election, there was just funkiness, and I don't know. I'm not saying anything went wrong. What I'm saying is the appearance of good things was not good because you would have to stop and then come back, and so hand counting would just add to that. If you did that on a national level, you wouldn't know your
results for weeks.
Yeah.
Months. Yeah, it could take forever. Be like going back to the Stone Ages.
And these ballots that we have are just scanned. I mean, what we're using are currently numbered and paper ballots that are scanned in a scanner. And I think for handicap use, there are some electronic ones, but that's not used very much locally.
Right.
So one of my problems has been that people have been angry at national issues, and they're trying to fight that fight here, and those things aren't existing. That's an example of that particular state.
That's a national issue that if you look at the evidence, is not really here. I mean, if anybody committed voter fraud, in this county, it was elected officials in some ways. I won't say names, but it could be somebody. So anyway,
any part of that.
Another part of that. Give us your elevator pitch and why you should be elected as Precinct 1 commissioner.
Well, I think I have a unique understanding of the community after 36 years.
Yeah.
And talking to people, learning the procedures, the policies of each governmental entity. I carry their hearts with me when I do my job now.
Yeah.
And I would do that as Kerr County Commissioner. We're a first responder family. I'm definitely lifelong conservative, Catholic.
That counts. That's a double C. Catholic and conservative. Boom, boom. Check and check.
Well, I just hope that I would be considered because I would do a really good job.
How do you rate your husband's man cave? Is it in the top 10 in all time in Kerr County history? Because it looks pretty comfortable and relaxed.
Yeah.
It's an outdoor facility.
Yeah.
It's an outdoor holding facility.
He loves it.
I can see him out there.
Yeah. So luckily we don't have a bed, or I might not ever see
him out there. Yeah.
He really likes it.
I want to add that to your list. It's going to be 80 this week, so I expect to see you out there.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. He's wanted something like that since we bought the house in 98. So it's really cute. It came together really well.
It did really. You guys did a great job because they suffered damage from our tornado that hit us. Yeah. It started in my front yard, unfortunately. Took down one of our trees, and it didn't knock the shingles and the siding off of their house, and then it destroyed 2 houses on the other side. So yeah, it was a fun one. But Tammy, thanks for being here. I hope you feel better.
I will.
Are you okay?
It's it's a pretty bad break, and
Yeah.
the surgery's tomorrow.
Surgery
but
tomorrow.
the cool thing is, to all kids, he said I'll have a metal erector set on my arm.
Very nice. Yeah.
Nice.
So the grandkids can come take a look at it as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Stay-
then after that, I should be healing.
At least you're right. You're right-handed, right? So it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if
Small
I.
blessings.
It's not been fun.
No,
Right. It never is.
I would not know what to do.
But Dr.
So,
Mitchell said that when we have surgery,
Dr. Mitchell is great. He was my ortho when I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
I love him too. He goes to our church, but he said that afterwards I'll be able to use both fingers after the surgery. I just
Surgery.
can't now.
Oh,
So
wow.
That's
Very
why I'm
nice.
looking
Very
forward
good.
to it.
Yeah,
Nice.
please. That's the first thing I thought of was, dang it, how's she going to get the paper out? And how's she going to write? Holy smoke, this is terrible.
Yeah,
You know?
and we'll just tell everybody to give me a pass this week if there's a lot of typos. 'cause-
Right. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for asking, and
thanks
sorry for
being here.
missing Friday.
Hey, it's all right. We got through it. So appreciate it very much for you being here. Leslie, what'd you learn today?
I learned how much you hold Mike Whitler near and dear to your heart.
I love that guy. That guy's awesome. By the way, we got some donations today for the Mark and Laura Fund. I don't know. Have you met Mark and Laura Walters?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're trying to
Yeah.
raise some money for them to go to Phoenix in style.
And you got some more money.
Oh yeah! Look at that! Look at that! We got some more money. So here we have $70. We have
Nice.
We have $50 in quarters. Which, by the way, I just love the feel of quarters. This was magic when you were a kid in the '80s.
It was.
And that is a magical thing. No one understands this. This is hours of entertainment at pizza parlors. So, thank you very much for that as well. Tomorrow's show. What are we having on tomorrow's show? Micah Ford's going to come tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
For the first time.
Excellent.
He'll be unattended by
A week
his,
of firsts.
Yeah, and then Rachel Fitch will be here. Bill Raleigh will be here on Thursday to talk about Shriner football.
Nice.
The Mountaineers, by the way, are playing in the men's and women's basketball tournaments starting this Friday at Shreveport, Louisiana.
Good luck.
At Centenary College or Centenary University. It's like 200 years old, by the way.
Oh, that is
That's
impressive.
interesting. Yeah, used to be a Division I program at one time, I guess. So
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, now it's Division III, and Shriner men play them Friday night. The Shriner women, I think, will be playing University of Dallas, who they've lost to, I think, twice this season. So some tough games ahead for them. Men's and the baseball and softball teams are in action this weekend for Shriner. And don't forget, Pot of Hot. It's coming Saturday.
Get your tickets.
Again. I will not be doing the split pea. Are you a split pea
You
soup fan?
disappointed
No, you're
probably 5 people.
like Tammy's like no.
I am not.
Lewis swears by this split pea recipe.
Yeah.
And I've also heard it so many times I think I have it memorized.
You got it memorized. Yes, it's real simple. But the house was. I had to decontaminate most of the house because the onion smell was so powerful with it. But there you go. But Pot of Hot is coming on Saturday.
On Saturday.
Live
Get there.
music, pub crawl, block
25 soup makers.
Yeah. Is
for you
Julie
to
Davis
taste
going to
one?
go?
I don't know. Find out.
We got to find out.
I'm
All
going
right.
to show up late because I have a board retreat
Yeah.
that day. But
Better
I'm
you
gonna
than
go. I'm gonna go hang out.
Better you than me.
Yeah, but it's for Riverside
It is
Nature
Riverside.
Center, who's
All right.
very near and dear to my heart. So
All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Tammy, good luck tomorrow. You'll be
you so
fine.
much.
And I still think it'd be funny to have your bodyguard stand behind you, but we'll do that for another time. Thanks, everybody. We'll
happy
see you guys,
healing, Tammy.
Thank
see you guys tomorrow.
No stepping stones, no broken promises, no busy tones. Just what it takes, just make believe. No one belongs.